Before we get into the stories, I would like to let you all know that I'm taking story submissions to narrate. I will credit you in the description of the video unless you ask me not to, so if you have an experience or story in mind that you would like me to read, then you can email me at feedingonfear@gmail.com, and I will be sure to include it in my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the stories. To breeiceq@gmail.com. Subject: Bree, please read this. Bree, don't delete this. I know you hate me, but we were best friends once and I need you to read this. I think I'm in serious trouble and there's nothing you can do, but I need you to read this so that you understand. I know we haven't talked since sectionals. It's been forever, but what happened to you wasn't my fault. At least it wasn't entirely my fault. I know everybody thinks it was, but I would never do anything to hurt you. This is going to sound insane, but I need to tell you so that someone knows. It started when we were in the 8th grade. It was the night before the Crystal Classic competition. I was at home and couldn't sleep because I was so nervous about competing. Well, I got on the computer, just sort of surfing the web and stuff, but I couldn't concentrate on anything. I was just sitting there, so I Googled myself. I never should have done that, Bree. At first it was all just the usual stuff, you know, when you Google yourself. Then I found a link to a Wikipedia page about me. I thought our club or my dad made it or something. There wasn't much there, just some basic facts about skating and what city I lived in. But the thing that got me was that it said I had won that year's Crystal Classic. I laughed and thought for sure that somebody had only made it to encourage me. I confronted my dad about it, but he denied it. When I won the competition the next day, I was so happy. That was the first competition that I had ever won, and it felt so good. Remember how hard I worked after that? That was when my parents hired Sergey to coach me. You know how much that must have cost. After that, I would check my page before every competition, and it was always say where I placed. It said I would win the regionals at 15, and that came true. Afterwards, Sergey convinced my mom and dad and had me have a real shot at the Olympics. That was when they pulled me from school. I skated every day, but I just wasn't progressing the way Sergey said that I needed to if I wanted a shot at the championship. I was working so hard at skating well, but still he said it wasn't good enough. When the sectionals came, all I could think about was winning. So I did something I shouldn't have. Everyone was saying that you were the favorite, and I felt like I'd already lost the competition. So I made a Wikipedia account and tried to update my page to say that I was the winner. The thing is, after I tried to update the page, I checked it, and all it said was, Anara Petrova is a selfish little bitch who's going to get what she deserves. I broke down. That's why I looked so awful the next day. I was in a daze. I remember watching your routine and seeing your blade snap. The next thing I knew, I was on the ground and my face was covered in blood from where the tip flew off and sliced my forehead. Then they told me it was my fault because I had your skates in my possession earlier. Bree, honestly, I didn't do anything to your skates. I wanted to win, but I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. When they told me I was banned from any further competitions, everyone said that I got what I deserved. Nobody even asked for my side of the story. I guess you heard that Sergey dropped me after that too. He said that I ruined him. Nobody would talk to me. Do you know what it's like to be ostracized by everyone? I couldn't even get ice time. And then the page got worse. Any time I'd check it, it would say all these horrible things about me. I can't even tell you half of them. I'd cry every time I read it, but I couldn't stop checking it. I knew I had to do something, so I made a complaint to Wikipedia. I even tried calling them, but no one there claimed to know anything about the page. I was home alone that Friday night when I decided to check it to see if it had been taken down. The page was still there, only this time it said, Anara Petrova is a pathetic little orphan. I freaked. I kept calling my parents to warn them, but every time I did, all I would hear was this horrible laughter on the other end. I must have called them 100 times until I couldn't take the sound of it anymore. After the accident, the police gave me their phones, and there wasn't any record of my calls that night. I was devastated. Before that, I was so busy training all day and doing homeschool. I never realized just how alone I had been the whole time. I know you tried to reach out, but I was so depressed and angry, I just shut everything out. Once I turned 18 and got the settlement money from the court, I came to Switzerland. I want to reinvent myself. My skating really took off. It hasn't even been a year, and I still feel like that everything that happened was so long ago. That's why I shouldn't have done it, Bree. I'm writing you now from an old hotel outside of Prague. I'm auditioning for the ice circus tomorrow. I know it's the kind of thing we used to make fun of, but I really want this. I was feeling really nervous, so out of an old habit, I checked my page. It's so hard to say this, but when I read it, to see if I'd get the job tomorrow, all it said was Nora Petrova died friendless and alone, and it has today's date listed as the date of my death. I'm sobbing so hard I could barely type this, but I wanted you to know the truth. Please, Bree, believe me. I attached a screenshot of the page. It's all there, just like I said. I don't know what to do. I don't know anyone here. Nobody speaks English. I keep refreshing the page. God, it's been forever. I keep refreshing, but it still hasn't changed. I'm waiting for midnight. I don't know what to do, so I locked myself in my room. There's only a few minutes to midnight now, and all I can do is refresh the page. I'm exhausted, but I can't stop. I'm afraid to leave the computer until I know what happens next. One day, I was alone in the house with my younger brother. My dog was downstairs in his pen all alone like usual. It was a typical day and nothing was out of the norm. I was sitting in my maroon chair in the corner of the living room when I heard a sound coming from the basement door. I figured that my dog had gotten loose from his pen and wanted into the house, so I got up and headed towards the door to open it. As I got closer to the door, the scratching got louder and sounded more violent. The noise was coming from the top of the basement door. Suddenly, my dog started barking frantically as if he was terrified of something. I realized that my dog couldn't have been the one scratching at the door. He was just a chihuahua and was too small to reach his paws to the top of the door. I stepped away from the doorway, terrified. My dog started to sound like he was going to die of a heart attack because of how scared his barking sounded. Suddenly, as I stepped back away from the door, the scratching noises at the door got louder and more violent. I could hear what sounded like a woman screaming in pure anguish, and my dog stopped barking. The screaming got more intense as the lights in the house and the TV flickered on and off. Suddenly, after what seemed like an hour, the screaming stopped and the lights and TV completely turned off. I went to turn the light back on after I got settled, and it wouldn't turn on. I stopped trying and sat in the far corner of my living room, too scared to go downstairs and get my dog. In fact, I was so scared that I had to get someone to go downstairs and check on my dog for me. When she brought my dog upstairs, it was trembling with fear and whimpered and whined. When she gave him to me, he climbed onto my shoulder and instantly clung onto it. After that day, neither me or my dog ever went downstairs again.